My in-laws forgot their wallets again, so I dropped the folder that ended 4 years of being used. Please stay with me as I tell my story. And please, do not forget to support our channel by subscribing to our channel, liking our videos, and sharing your loved ones. Your support means the world to us. Now to our story. Poke. They forgot their wallets again. That was the 5th time this year. We were at a mid-range Italian restaurant. Nothing fancy, just dinner for my husband's family. I was reaching for my water when my mother-in-law suddenly patted her purse and said, "Oh no, I think I left my wallet at home." Her husband chimed in, checking his pockets with that same theatrical confusion. My husband looked at me. I knew the look well. It was the same unspoken agreement we'd fallen into over the last few years. We'd cover it. That moment, something in me changed. It wasn't anger. It was a quiet, heavy clarity. This wasn't forgetfulness. It was a pattern, a routine, a setup. For 4 years, I had been paying. For dinners, movie tickets, vacations, group gifts, even groceries they'd pay us back for. I had always brushed it off. It's family, I told myself. But when I looked back, they never once offered to cover anything. Not even a coffee. So I started tracking it all. I opened a folder on my laptop labeled, "For when I break." I logged every transaction, every I forgot, every next time. I took screenshots of text messages, noted dates, saved receipts. I wasn't planning revenge. At first, I just needed to know I wasn't crazy. But the folder grew. It reached $11,642.43. That included airfare for a family trip, multiple hotel stays, gifts for holidays, and a shocking number of emergency Venmo requests. My husband saw me tracking it one day and asked what I was doing. I told him, and he went silent. That silence told me more than words ever could, he knew. So I waited for the right moment. That moment came during Sunday dinner. Everyone was there. I calmly passed out printed copies of the folder. My father-in-law laughed, thinking it was a joke. My husband looked like he wanted the floor to open up beneath him. "I kept track," I said. "For 4 years, I've paid for nearly everything. This is the total." My mother-in-law's face turned pale. My brother-in-law called me dramatic. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I stood up, picked up my coat, and said, "You can forget your wallets, but I don't forget facts." I walked out. Later that night, my husband tried to explain. I didn't listen. I'd already made up my mind. If someone lets you be used, they're part of the problem. I wasn't just done paying. I was done playing. It was my husband's birthday. We went to a nice steakhouse with his family. His parents, brother, and sister-in-law joined us. The dinner went well, laughs, stories, drinks. When the check came, it was $450. I waited. No one moved. His dad reached for his coat, then stopped. His mom did her usual pat-down and said, "Oh, I must have left my wallet in the other purse." His brother just looked away. Then slowly, all eyes turned to me. Without a word, I took out my card and paid. But as the server walked away with the check, something inside me cracked. I didn't show it on my face, but I felt it. A kind of quiet snap, like a wire breaking after being pulled too tight for too long. Back home, I opened the spreadsheet I'd kept hidden for over a year. 16 months of transactions. I had logged every time I'd paid, just this once. I hadn't meant to keep track at first, but something told me I should. The dinners, the shows, the last-minute tickets, the vacations. It was all there, neatly recorded. $9,380 and change. It didn't make me feel better to see it all laid out. It made me feel small, stupid, tired. My husband walked in, joking about how full he was. I didn't laugh. I asked him if he knew how much we'd spent on his family since last year. He shrugged. "Not that much, right?" I didn't answer. I didn't argue. Instead, the next morning, I printed the spreadsheet, added a cover page, stapled the pages together, then waited. That evening, we invited his family over for cake and presents. I placed the folder on the table next to the cake knife. When everyone settled in, I said, "Before we start, I have something to share." They looked confused. My husband stared at me. I pushed the folder forward. "This is everything I've paid for over the past 16 months. Every dinner, every trip, every ticket. It adds up to over $9,000. And not once has anyone offered to split it." The room went quiet. His mom opened the folder. His dad chuckled like I was exaggerating. His brother mumbled something under his breath. My husband looked at the floor. I stood up. "From now on, don't ask me to cover anything. If you can't afford it, say so. But I'm done being the default." And just like that, I was. They always thought I wouldn't say anything, that I'd stay quiet, smile, and take care of things. I guess I gave them a reason to think that. I never argued. I always paid. If someone forgot their wallet or left their card at home, I just stepped in. But after the 3rd time in a single month, I opened a blank spreadsheet. I didn't say anything to anyone. I just started typing. I logged dates, events, amounts, and who was there. I didn't even know why I was doing it at first. I think I just wanted to see if I was overreacting. I wasn't. The numbers kept rising. Dinner here. Groceries there. A group trip. A birthday gift that we gave but I paid for alone. One time they asked me to spot them the down payment for a rental house, just for the weekend. That was nearly $2,000. I never got it back. Still, I didn't bring it up. I kept adding lines, month after month. Eventually, I stopped feeling confused about it. I stopped giving them the benefit of the doubt. It was never about forgetting. It was about expecting. I was the backup plan, and they knew I wouldn't say no. When the total hit $17,082.19, I knew it had to end. I spent an hour formatting the spreadsheet, printed it in color, added a summary page, and stapled it all together. I placed it in a simple folder and waited for the next family dinner. Sunday came. Everyone was at our place. Same faces, same voices, same casual talk. When we sat down to eat, I stood up and walked over to the counter. I picked up the folder and set it in the middle of the table. I have something I want to share, I said. They paused. My husband looked at me unsure. I opened the folder and passed it around. Nobody spoke as they flipped through the pages. This is everything I've paid for in the last 2 years, I said quietly. Every event, every meal, every time someone asked me to help. No one denied it. No one even tried. His mom shifted in her chair. His brother cleared his throat. My husband looked down. No apologies, just silence. I didn't need a fight. I wasn't angry anymore. I just said, it's not happening anymore. And then I got up and walked away from the table. It started small. A shared streaming account. I added his parents to our Netflix. Then came their cell phone bill when they were between jobs. After that, it was groceries until payday. Then vacation costs they promised to split, but never did. Each time my husband said, it's family. We help each other. So I helped. Again and again. Then came the cruise. His mom said they'd booked the base package, but really wanted the balcony upgrade. She hinted at how nice it would be if someone generous made it possible. My husband looked at me. I gave in. I paid. Weeks later, they mentioned buying new patio furniture. When I asked how they could afford it, they laughed and said, well, the cruise was covered. Something clicked. I realized they never offered to pay me back because they didn't think they had to. I wasn't helping. I was expected to give. I was the one with the job, the budget, the sense of responsibility. They knew I wouldn't make a scene. But I wasn't okay anymore. It wasn't just money. It was disrespect. So the next time they sent a group message asking for help with one last thing, I replied, no, just that. One word. The silence that followed was louder than any argument. Hours later, my husband asked why I was being cold. I showed him the file I'd kept. It had every payment, every bill, every skipped promise. The total stunned him. He didn't defend them this time. The next day they called, said they were hurt, said I was acting different. I said I wasn't acting. I was done pretending. I told them I wouldn't cover another dollar. No more guilt. No more pressure. No more smoothing things over. That night, everything shifted. No one messaged for days. Then came the confrontation. His mother called crying. His father said I was creating tension. His brother accused me of keeping score. I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I just said, I won't be used anymore. They were angry. They said I was selfish. My husband stood by me, but I saw the struggle on his face. He wasn't used to saying no either. It wasn't easy, but I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time, peace. I wasn't the wallet anymore. I was just a person who finally said enough. We were cleaning out the spare room. His parents were coming to stay, and I was clearing space in the closet. That's when I saw it, his mom's planner. She must have left it behind last time they visited. I was about to put it aside, but a page was sticking out. It was a list. Dinner at Blue Water. Let her pay. Weekend groceries. Don't offer. Flight upgrade. She won't say no. My stomach dropped. It was in her handwriting. Small, neat, and clear. I sat down on the floor. I read the page again. Then I turned the next one. More notes. More reminders. None of them kind. Some made jokes. Some even had little check marks beside them, like tasks completed. In that moment, everything made sense. Every forgotten wallet. Every silence when the bill came. Every awkward glance that I used to brush off. It wasn't forgetfulness. It was planned. I took photos of the pages. I added them to the folder I had already started months earlier. It had receipts, transfers, messages, all of it. I never meant for it to go this far, but now I couldn't ignore it. That night, I showed my husband. I laid the planner in front of him and said, this is what they think of me. He didn't look shocked. He didn't ask if it was real. He didn't even get angry. He just said, that's just how they are. That answer hit harder than anything I read in the planner. He knew. Maybe not every detail, but he knew enough. And he never said a word. That's when it became clear. It wasn't just his family using me. He was too. He let it happen. He let them lean on me, take from me, joke about me, because it was easier than standing up to them. He told me to forget it. that it wasn't worth the fight. But I wasn't angry anymore. I was done being confused, done doubting myself. I told him, I'm not your family's solution anymore. Find another way. He didn't fight back. He just looked tired. After that, things changed. I stopped paying for things. I stopped answering their messages. I stopped trying to be the easy one. They didn't like it. Neither did he. But I finally saw things as they were. And once you see the truth, you can't go back to pretending. We were leaving the restaurant when it happened again. His parents said they forgot their wallets. They laughed about it like it was a silly accident. I smiled, paid the bill, and got into the car like I always did. But as we pulled out of the parking lot, I turned to my husband and asked, "Do they ever pay you back?" He didn't answer right away. He looked out the window. Then he said, "Sometimes." That one word felt off. I knew that answer was a lie. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept going back to the way he looked when I asked him. Guilty. Avoidant. Like someone who had something to hide. While he was in the shower, I opened his email. I know I shouldn't have, but I couldn't ignore the feeling anymore. I searched for anything with his parents' names. It didn't take long. There were messages about splitting costs, vacation expenses, shared bills. But the pattern was clear. He would promise to take care of it and tell them not to worry about paying us back. I checked his Venmo. More answers there. Payments going out to his brother. Gift cards he'd sent to his mom. Quiet cover-ups. I kept digging until I found a message that ended everything. It was from his dad. "Thanks again. We knew she wouldn't question it." That line stayed in my head. He knew I was paying for everything, and he never said a word. I closed the laptop and sat in the dark. I didn't cry. I just sat there, feeling like a fool. Later, I asked him directly. No anger, no yelling. Just the truth. He looked at the floor and said, "I thought it was easier this way." Easier for who? I told him I couldn't trust someone who let me carry everything while pretending he didn't see it. It wasn't just about money anymore. It was about respect, about honesty, about all the moments he chose to keep me in the dark. He tried to explain, said he didn't think it was a big deal, that he didn't want to cause conflict with his family, but he never thought about what it was doing to me. I didn't need a plan. I didn't need a dramatic ending. I just needed to stop allowing it. So I did. I stepped back, and for the first time in years, I felt like I was standing on my own side. It was supposed to be a relaxing trip, a full week at a beach resort with his family, his parents, his brother, and us. I booked everything, flights, rooms, car rental, using my card. He said they'd pay me back once we got there. I believed him. We arrived. Everyone was in a good mood. They talked about excursions and spa days. I kept waiting for someone to bring up the money. No one did. I gave it a couple of days, then asked gently, "Can we settle the costs soon?" His mom waved her hand and said, "Let's not talk about money on vacation." His brother laughed. I tried to smile, but something didn't feel right. By day 5, I brought it up again. This time I was clear. "I've covered almost $6,000. I'd like to split it." His dad looked at me and chuckled. "We thought that was your gift to the family." I looked at my husband. He didn't say anything. That silence told me everything. I went back to our room. I didn't cry. I opened the folder I had packed in the bottom of my suitcase. Printed records. Transfers. Screenshots. Every bill from the past 2 years. I had brought it just in case. Now I knew why. That evening, after dinner, I laid it out on the hotel table. Everyone was there. I passed the folder across the table and said, "This isn't just about this trip. This is everything." They flipped through the pages. Some laughed nervously. His mother called it dramatic. His brother rolled his eyes. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. My husband asked why I brought it with me. I said, because deep down, I knew something like this would happen. That's when the yelling started. His father shouted that I was ungrateful. His mother cried. His brother said I was trying to ruin the family. But I wasn't the one who created the pattern. I just exposed it. Back in our room, I told my husband, "If you think this is okay, we don't want the same kind of life." He didn't answer. The next morning, I checked out early and flew home alone. Later, he called. Said we needed to talk. I said we did. But not about money anymore. Now it was about what kind of marriage we had, and whether it was one I wanted to stay in. Thanksgiving was always at our place. I cooked, cleaned, set the table, and paid for almost everything. They offered to bring sides, but usually showed up with store-bought pies and empty hands. Still, I smiled and welcomed them in. This year was no different. They arrived, praised the food, and settled in like guests at a hotel. After dinner, my husband's mom mentioned they'd forgotten their wallets again and would settle up later for the wine and extra groceries I picked up. That was the final push I needed. I went to the hallway table and brought back a large red envelope. On the front, in bold letters, it said Debt Tracker, 2019 to 2023. I placed it on the table next to the empty pie plate. They looked confused. My husband looked nervous. I opened the envelope and took out a stack of papers. "This is everything I've covered for the past 4 years. I said. Every bill, every dinner, every gift, every vacation fee, every time someone forgot a wallet. His dad laughed and said, "You've been keeping score?" I looked at him and replied, "No, I've been keeping records." I passed the papers around. They scanned the pages in silence. Names, dates, amounts, it was all there. Then I pulled out one more item, a signed IOU from 2020. His brother had asked for help with rent. He wrote it down, signed it, and promised to pay within 6 months. He never did. He turned red and said he didn't remember signing anything. I showed him the copy of the message where he sent it. No one spoke. His mom said, "This isn't the time for this." I said, "There's never been a good time. That's the problem." My husband tried to calm things down, but I stopped him. "You knew I was keeping track," I said. "You said nothing. No one apologized. They just got upset that I didn't keep it quiet." His dad called it embarrassing. His brother walked out. I didn't raise my voice. I just collected the papers, placed them back into the envelope, and said, "From now on, if you forget your wallets, you'll be eating at home." That night, the house was quiet. My husband asked if I felt better. I told him I didn't feel anything. Not anymore. It wasn't about the money. It was about the pattern, and the fact that no one ever thought I'd finally say something. Now they know. It started with a small argument about something unrelated. My brother-in-law had made a comment about how I always seemed stressed. I replied that being the one who handled everything, plans, bills, and all the little things, could get tiring. He laughed and said, "Why are you complaining? You're the family ATM." Everyone in the room chuckled like it was just a joke, but it wasn't funny to me. I didn't respond. I got up, walked into the other room, and took a few deep breaths. I wasn't angry because of the joke. I was angry because it was true, and they all knew it. That night, I opened the folder I had kept on my laptop. It had been growing for years. Bills, confirmations, payment screenshots. I even included the times I covered emergencies for his parents and brother. It had a full timeline and a total, over $14,000. I organized it, made it easy to read, and exported it into a single PDF. The next morning, I sent it to the family group chat. No message, no explanation, just the file. The silence lasted almost 2 hours. Then my brother-in-law replied, "What the hell is this?" I answered, "This is the list of everything I've paid for since 2020. Since I'm the family ATM, I figured you should all know the balance." More silence. His dad replied that I was being dramatic. His mom said she never asked for any of it. My husband tried to smooth things over, saying we didn't need to go this far. But I wasn't backing down. I told them I'd kept quiet long enough, that I'd been covering more than my share for years, and no one ever offered to help or pay me back. I said I wasn't mad about the money. I was done with being taken for granted. After that, the group fell apart. His brother left the chat. His parents stopped messaging. And my husband finally saw what I'd been dealing with. He asked me if I wanted to talk about it. I said no. I'd already said everything I needed to, just not with words, but with proof. From that moment on, the dynamic changed. No more group trips, no more sudden costs, no more quiet expectations. They could call me cold. They could say I overreacted. But at least now they knew the truth. And I wasn't the ATM anymore. For a long time, I thought it was all in my head. I kept telling myself I was being dramatic, that people forget things, that I was just being helpful, but something always felt off. It wasn't just the missed payments or the casual way they expected me to handle things. It was how normal it had all become. One night, after another family outing where I paid the full bill without question, I sat down and made a list, just to clear my head. It started with a dinner 3 years ago, then a hotel, then tickets, then another dinner. As I kept writing, I saw a pattern I had never really noticed before. Every time they forgot a wallet, it was at a place I had booked. Every time there was an extra charge, I was the one holding the card. They always offered suggestions, but never offered to pay. It hit me. This wasn't random. It was planned. So I worked backward, month by month. I pulled bank statements, receipts, texts. I sorted them by date. I color-coded who was involved, what it was for, and how much I paid. The numbers grew fast. When I finished, I put everything in a folder. Not just a spreadsheet, but photos of receipts, screenshots of messages, even voice notes where someone said, "She'll take care of it." I didn't add emotion, just facts. Then I waited. I invited them all to dinner, my treat of course. My husband, his parents, his brother. It was quiet and polite. After the meal, while we waited for the check, I reached into my bag and pulled out the folder. "I want you all to see something," I said. I handed it to his dad. They passed it around in silence. Nobody laughed. Nobody denied it. I said, "This is everything I've paid for over the last 4 years." I kept thinking it was just me being generous. But now I know better. His mom tried to say it wasn't intentional. His brother said I was digging up old stuff. My husband didn't say anything at all. I stood up and said, "This stops here. I won't be part of this anymore. I left the folder on the table and walked out. It only took 4 minutes. 4 minutes to end 4 years of being used. They never expected me to notice. But I did. And once you see it clearly, you don't unsee it.